Look at that! Look at that tricep, bro.
You got the direct light down, so just like start flexing.
He got all the anabolic lighting, didn't he?
God.
I remember going over there one time though. I was testing your microphone. And I looked in the camera. I was like, "Damn, like, it's good lighting, like because it's right down on top of you."
It's perfect.
But even though it's just a shitty like fan light,
It works.
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
You got it rolling?
Yeah, everything's rolling. So
Hell yeah. Well, show before the show shit.
show before the show shit.
We were drinking Hennessy and Hypnotic for the first time, and AKA
Me for the first time
Incredible
ever.
Hulk.
Oh, it's your first time?
Yeah, first time ever.
What an intro.
That's a hell of a fucking intro, bro. I think I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. To be honest.
I mean, it's not that bad, but also you did put the simple syrup in it.
The simple syrup helps. Pro tip from a guy that mixes drinks all the time. Put some fucking simple syrup in your Incredible Hulk.
Just put it in everything.
I think that's
Sugar
the way
makes
they
it.
got to do it at bars, dude, because that first drink we had,
Was it that bad?
yeah, the recipe calls were just half and half, but
Oh, you looked at the recipe?
oh, hell yeah.
A recipe,
Hell
quote
yeah.
unquote.
I looked up the recipe. I wanted to do it right. Like, we make good drinks around here most of the time.
I hear that.
This was just because me and you talked about it, and I thought it'd be funny as fuck.
I walk in and I see Hennessy on the thing. I'm like, okay, cool. The Hypnotic, for some reason, didn't stick out to me. Damn, the blue drink doesn't stick out to me. It's like, but
Yeah, that's what we're doing, though.
it's a hell of a surprise. It's good stuff, though.
It's a big surprise.
Tell you what, scoot that mic a little closer to you.
He's a little softer.
Yeah.
than I am.
Well,
Also a little shorter. Is that?
A little bit.
Just
your voice travels, and it's also at a higher frequency
Yeah, I
than
can
yours
hear you.
is. So yours will catch better closer, and yours will catch better further away. So
That makes sense.
I think it works.
Even with my voice going out.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you want to know how to make an Incredible Hulk, it's fucking half hypnotic. And I did put some orange bitters and some simple syrup in these to make it taste less like. You know what? Like shit, to be honest with you. But like I said, I enjoy it more now like this than I had before because I'm too deep and y'all are just one deep. So
Yeah. Well, not even.
I had a
I'm
shitty
sipping
week,
on it.
though, and I was desperate for a drink.
That's
you've
fair.
been waiting on this then, huh?
Yeah.
That's true. I've definitely been waiting on it.
I had a shitty Friday.
What happened on your Friday?
Oh, the whole situation with my insurance and my So my insurance sucks, right? Just in general. And I went to get my blood work done for HRT. My doctor's like, holy shit, your testosterone's 91. You need testosterone. 91.
Oh my God.
He's like, you need testosterone now. And I'm like, yes, you're right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting on a PA, call them. They're like, oh, it didn't get submitted. Let me submit it. I'm like, cool. They submit it. I get a phone call the next day. It's been denied because blah, 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 blah. You'll get a letter in the mail. And I'm like, cool. So I call them. And I'm like, I need to know what's going on because this doesn't make any sense. Why am I getting denied when I'm not got a 91? Right. So finally get someone on the phone after like 30 fucking minutes. And they're like, oh, well, you have to have 2 accounts of blood work. I'm like, why? Like, I don't know. It's just the rules. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. But it's like this blood work wrong. Like, did somebody forge it? I'm pretty sure it's third party tested. Like, it's not something that they can forge. Whatever. So now I have to go up there next Saturday to get my blood work done again. And then hopefully they'll approve it.
How bad do you feel being as low as you are?
Well, so I was taking all the other stuff. Like before I went up there, I felt like dog shit, like 90% of the time. I was also tired and I was like sleeping for 12 hours. I'd wake up at the 9-hour mark, eat breakfast, go back to sleep on the couch just because I couldn't stay awake.
Right.
The gym sucked. Felt like shit in the gym.
bet.
I feel okay right now because I was taking all the other HRT stuff that he prescribed me because those weren't on a PA.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to come off of all of it to get my blood back to normal, which is shitty, and then go up there, get it tested again, come back. So it's just like, yeah.
That's terrible.
Fucking sucks.
I can't imagine what 91 feels like.
It was 141 and it was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. It's
It was
rough.
real fucking bad.
It is rough.
So was it anything below like 300 is considered low?
Technically now it's like 270 or something because they keep bumping the numbers down. When I first did my blood work in 2022, it was 300 to 1100. And now it's like 270 or 280 to 8 something. They just keep pulling down the markers and it's really like shitty. Like, because you think about it, like primitive times, like what was our testosterone in primitive times? It was probably fucking through the roof because we were out there killing fucking everything and eating it, right? Like, there's no way you couldn't have a fuck ton of testosterone going out there and killing shit. And
From my personal experience, it's diet. You know, that's one thing I've never been able to shake. I've never been able to stay on a good diet.
Yeah.
That's shitty as a personal trainer and everything else, but like, I mean, that shit takes it faster than anything does.
Yeah.
And then coming from, you've probably experienced this too. You've never been medicated for it, but having mental health issues, every SSRI doctor wants to put you on affects progesterone and testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a man, you have to have progesterone to make testosterone. So if that's low, your testosterone's low, and everything just fucking cycles and just becomes dog shit. So, I mean, and then for me personally, everybody listening knows what I've done. Like messing around with PEDs, I didn't have any business messing around with. It's a big fucking contributor to that shit too. Yeah.
That's probably why mine was so low too, honestly.
But the coach I had before Ron was Brandon Allen. And me and you've talked about this. Ron hasn't heard this story.
I was about to say this is news to me. I wanna hear this.
Brandon told me, this is at the time one of probably three. This is before Dan Bell got real big. One of three of the best super heavyweight powerlifters on the planet.
He
Brandon
was
Allen
up there.
a bad motherfucker.
He was up there.
Brandon told me, he was like, "You're a big dude. Like, that's going to contribute. I know you eat like shit, and you ain't got to tell me." He's like, "You need to just be on testosterone, and if you want to, you can run an oral like 6 weeks out." And I didn't fucking listen to him. And I fucking pinned a bunch of fucking trend for God knows how long and everything else. And one of the things he told me, he's like, that weight gain and that strength gain is very, very unreliable. It's going to tank.
Yep.
As soon as you come off, as soon as meat prep's over with, it's going in the fucking gutter. He's like, don't mess with hard stuff. And he told me that time and time again, and I didn't fucking listen.
Yep.
And that's what it was. And I, you know, just like I tell everybody now that I'm just on HRT, I'm stronger now than I've ever been because I don't have any
ups and
peaks
downs
and valleys or anything like that. I'm the same all the time. So, man, there's a lesson in that, like doing things the right way. Like, probably don't need to fuck around with that stuff until it's time to fuck around with that stuff. That's
Getting good quality lesson from the most jacked and juicy motherfucker on the planet at the time. Because we were teammates at one point when I was with Iron Rebel. And having competed with Brandon's cool, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you want to talk about, he was very open about all the shit. Very open about it. One of the nicest guys you'll meet. But like I said, as somebody I know, he's really drastically changed his life and stuff like that. He's a lot lighter. He's not competing anymore. I think he's arm wrestling now.
Yeah.
arm wrestling and strict curl.
Okay. But yeah, it's just funny knowing his personality and hearing him tell you all of these things. Like, hey, stay away from certain things.
Well, he
Lesson learned.
He was pretty wild.
lesson learned. I'll tell you what else I did too, and it really fucked me and your prep up really bad. Brandon, I don't know if it's maybe, I don't know if you've experienced this, Ron, or not, but sometimes, and I should, you know, this is one of the best powerlifters on the planet. And I'm still not listening to him. I was in the middle of this prep with him, and it was really my first prep ever, and everything was going really, really well. And like 2 weeks out from the meet, he had me squatting something like, it was like 100 pounds less than what my opener was going to be.
Yeah.
And I got into the bar and smoked it. And I was like, I just can't.
You went up, didn't you?
I just can't. I just can't. It's like I got to get under. I got to get under, 450 or whatever it may have been. I'm not a good squatter. I'm not ashamed to say it. I got to get under that because it's going to be good for my brain. Well, I got under it, squatted it fine, but at the bottom something popped. I came back up, squatted it fine, no pain. But then for the next 2 weeks, there's just like this residual. Something's not right, and that right hip. Mm-hmm. And got on meet day, second squat, just like our prep, fucking blew that right hip up and tore my adductor and my right lowest abdominal. That was your first meet.
Yep.
And fucked everything up, all because I got out of pocket.
One time.
I got out of pocket one time.
So to the young lifters that are listening to this right now, take it from an experienced coach who's also telling this to an experienced coach. The plan is the plan for a reason. It will be there on meet day. You do not have to test your maxes prior to the meet to know that you're going to hit it at the meet. You
don't. Yeah, I was much, much better with you. A lot more disciplined. That was just bad fucking luck on my part. It is what it is.
That's very much my experience working with Joe too. Because I did the same thing that you did, except on deadlift, except I didn't hurt myself, fortunately. But I was like, fuck, man, everything feels like shit, and I need something for my brain because like I need to lift something heavy for my brain to work right. Mm-hmm. And this was 2 or 3 weeks out, I think. And I just didn't pull it off the floor. So I was like, I wasn't going to get hurt anyway.
Right.
But it was like 635 or something. I just couldn't break it off the floor. And I was dog cussing. I was the only one in the gym. So I wasn't afraid to just like scream. And like, I was pretty juicy at the time. So I was like,
For your heaviest deadlift in prep to be like 600 and then to go pull
661. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. It was.
That's doing it right.
Yeah. Joe knows what he's doing. Like that's the long and short of it. I mean, there's a reason.
Joe Sullivan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I worked with him prepping for the meet in November. I don't know.
November. Yeah.
November.
In Tuscaloosa. We're going to table that though, because I got questions for Ron about that, because Ron actually trains pretty similar to Joe. So,
Yeah.
Talk about athletic stuff and your warm up and everything like that.
Cool.
So,
We should just go ahead and get into
let's
it.
go ahead and get started. Yeah. Welcome to Sip and Rip It. I'm Zach. He's Nathan. This is Ron Tarvin, best coach in Alabama for sure, probably in the Southeast.
Say hi,
I
Ron.
don't mind saying that.
How's everybody doing?
You can find us at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skedios, and you're at Sir Jim Rat Fitness still.
Yeah. Sir_Jim Rat Fitness. Yep.
Cool.
And you can find the podcast at Sip and Rip
Yeah, I
It.
forgot about us. Rate us 5 stars on
Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube,
Yep. Apple Podcasts,
Apple
all
Podcasts.
that good stuff. And give it a listen. This is a big deal. This is the man right here. So pretty happy to have him on.
Yeah.
But let's get into all of our normal stuff before we get into his
Yeah.
interview if you want to. What do we do first? I forget.
What did we do in the gym this week?
Yeah. What
Oh, you did do drinks already, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we already
show
did
before the
drinks.
show. Yeah. My week was deload week, so I didn't do shit. Literally, I just like went in, did the easiest shit I possibly could, and went home. Like it was 45-minute workouts when I'm used to like an hour and a half, and everything was cut in half. Just went and did it. Felt like I probably could have done more. Actually, I probably didn't even need a deload this week, but it was planned, and I was like, I'm just gonna stick to the plan. We were just talking about sticking to the plan,
Right.
so I was like, yeah, we'll
Rather
just
deload too soon than too late.
yeah,
honestly.
100%. That's why I like a little more structure to it. Just making sure it's every 4th week, and just like no ifs, ands, or buts. If I feel great, then awesome. I'm going to go into the next week feeling even better. And if I feel like shit, then I know I needed it.
What's it like to have discipline?
Oh man,
It is what it is, I guess.
It leaves us all at some point.
I also found out not only am I the least disciplined of us here, I'm also the oldest, so I guess that makes me fucking stupid.
Hey, you're only the oldest by 3 months, so it's
Well, it doesn't matter.
it's not that bad.
But it is what it is, I guess. My week was shit. Christmas Day, me and you were swapping front squats for box squats because you feel like that may be a remedy for control and depth, maybe a remedy for the hip right now. Those were fun. Nothing really to speak of. The belt squat's been the best addition to programming I've ever. I think I have a general leg weakness, to be honest with you. I don't know if you caught that when. I mean, obviously I'm a bad squatter, so that's a good indicator.
Bad squatter.
But-
it's just not your bread and
It
butter.
ain't.
But you're not a bad squatter.
But I don't know if that's something you noticed. That's something me and him's picked up on. The belt squat's been a good addition because I've been able to pile. I've added a plate every week since we started those for the most part.
that might also be just adaptation, right?
Sure,
because
yeah.
there's strength. The strength in your legs is there, and then you're just like getting adapted to the machine.
Absolutely,
because it's a little different.
Which
It
belt
is.
squat is it?
I don't know.
Is it Pit Shark or is it the Rogue one? Or
No, it is. I don't remember what. It's a bells of steel. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a
I know
good
the
belt
exact
squat. And I can squat like ass to ankles in it, like no pain, like 5-6 plates. Pretty fucking cool. It's good because I don't leg press that much, but me and you we're pretty disciplined about our leg press though, like
Yeah,
platform touching the tank basically every time we do it. So,
Joe wouldn't let me do it any other way.
That's
He was just
fair.
like close stance,
you
pull
might-
it all the way to your like knees to chest.
Yeah, no one
like,
cares what you leg press.
right. No, nobody gives a
It
shit.
serves a purpose, and it's not for.
y'all ever get the eye roll when you're in the gym leg press and you got like 3 plates on it and some bros in there and they're just like,
I've never gotten an eye roll.
The only reason is because everybody there knows what I can squat.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Otherwise,
you didn't get no shit.
I never get an eye roll, but I do get people coming in behind me and throwing like 6 plates on there and then like half repping it, maybe at best.
and then they leave it on there.
Yeah.
That's our experience at Hartsel Fitness.
Yeah.
Like every time you do something cool, somebody's going to come behind you and like
at least attempt it. Except there's a couple cool guys up there.
Oh yeah, there
like,
absolutely is. That's a good strength community. Like the guys involved in powerlifting are fucking good.
Yeah.
How far is that from here?
15 minutes
up the road. Okay, north. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty.
It's exit
A lot of those
328.
guys compete at the Golden Ape. Have you done that meet yet?
I've been there. I was there 2 years back to back. This was like 2017. The first 2 years, 2017, 2018, when it was still at the CrossFit gym. This was before it was the Big Ape and the 2 platform meet that it is now.
That's a huge fucking meet.
It's giant, man.
That'd be fun to go to.
I was
giant.
as a coach. That one was a little
tense.
a little stressful.
Yeah.
Not because of athletes, but just managing workload.
Right.
Yeah, I know he knows what it's like 100% because I've never seen somebody manage a bigger workload than Ron does.
It's insane.
But,
I wouldn't change it.
But my gym week, like I said, box squats, and then the next day we got the AMRAP on close grip. 315 for 7 wasn't great, but we found out that was the beginning of the food poisoning. So I thought it was Ron had to deal with this my whole prep. I thought it was my elbow tendonitis flare because I unrack it and like instantly just pain from my wrist to my shoulders. Basically, I'm like, fuck, this sucks.
And he didn't rack it. He didn't say, this hurts, I need to stop. He said, I'm just going to fucking do it.
We're about to fuck it up.
So somebody had to yank it off of you myself.
No, nobody had to yank it off of me. I got I did fall short of well short of a PR, but it was an okay for just a random AMRAP day. And then he had me strip down to one more plate to 225 and hit that. And after that, I was like, fuck, I don't think I can do any accessory work. I felt like shit. Like my elbows fucking hurt. Turned out it was body aches from a fucking fever.
Yeah.
So that did it. That took me out. So I haven't been to the gym since. So that's my gym experience. So maybe Ron's got a more interesting story than we do.
Honestly, last week I had the plague that's going around that's hitting a lot of people. So this was, go figure, my first week of prep. So the plague kind of fell during a week that was supposed to be a planned deload anyway. So timing wise, if it was going to happen on a week, that was probably the best possible week that it could have happened on. This week was basically like it was an intro week, kind of a second deload week, RPE 5s kind of across the board, just kind of getting a feel for the bar again. So nothing super interesting. Everything feels good now. I feel back to my normal self. Squats still feel a little heavy on my back, but that's just because, I took that entire week off, and then the week prior to that, I beat myself into the dirt. Week 5, end of a block. Condensed training week leading up to a meet that I was co-hosting and coaching 10 people at. So I was a ticking time bomb to get sick, along with my partners, Rich and Avery. We just high stress week. The plague was going around leading into the meet and all that good stuff. It was kind of meant to happen that we all kind of got it when we did. Yeah, it just kind of hit me that much harder because I was already peak fatigued going into the meet and when all that stuff kind of circulated. So bad timing, but. Could have been worse.
One of my lack of discipline things is hydration, and I tell you, I've had the hardest time getting rehydrated this week. Yeah. Like I took it really, really seriously because that's something me and you were working on.
As he's drinking Incredible Hulk, y'all.
But I probably had close to 4 gallons of fluids yesterday to the point that like I made myself sick again from drinking so much water. And
did you supplement electrolytes?
Oh yeah, a ton. Yeah. Probably had 5 or 6 liquid IVs, a bottle of Kinder Light. Like I had a lot of fluid yesterday.
Saw you had Pedialyte coming in.
Do y'all have an IV clinic around here? That'd be something.
We do,
actually. I really need to start using it. I need to go get a bag.
I think we have 2, don't we?
Yeah, my chiropractic office is supposed to start doing it. I don't know if Nathan started doing that or not, but I really need to start going to him because I don't know if you know, but he's supposed to start doing blood panel work and stuff too.
Really?
Which is interesting. But I know he has to have an RN on staff to do those things. Yeah. And I think they've had a hard time hiring. In the past, they had a hard time hiring a nurse. Yeah.
I wonder if Desi would do it. That's her favorite thing, is to stick people with a needle.
But I would go talk to him because that company is up and coming, and
if she could.
Nathan's a powerhouse to work with. That guy's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, he already makes a pile of money, but he's got a fucking empire.
I feel like if he would match her pay, she would probably do it.
She needs to go fucking talk to him. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll mention it to her.
Yeah, that's a complete fucking tangent.
Right.
That's fucking truth. But PR songs, I don't fucking have one.
I should have several.
To Ron yesterday, I was like, make sure you got this shit, and I ain't got nothing.
Do you have one off the top of your head?
So for about 2 years, I guess you could say my squat PR song was Your Betrayal from Bullet for My Valentine.
Yep.
Just the lead up to it. anytime that song comes on, people kind of knew in the gym, like, oh, Ron's probably about to do something. But yeah, for about 2 years, that was kind of my go-to for squats and in particular. Right now, I don't know if y'all are anime guys, but there's a mix for the Dragon Ball Z. Y'all Dragon Ball Z guys? So
not him.
Okay.
He doesn't like any anime, so
okay. So there's a thing it's fan made for Broly as if he was a Super Saiyan God. Anyway,
I feel like I've heard that.
That's been my go-to like squat song for like the last 2 years. And then there's an iteration of a Super Saiyan God for Vegeta that I use specifically for deadlifts. I don't really have one for bench. It's just kind of bench.
Right.
I take that back. No, Push It by Kevin Gates is probably my bench song.
Kevin Gates.
Yeah, that's probably my most played top set bench song. I'll say that.
Hell yeah.
You got one or you want me to go?
Yeah, I'm going old school on it again. I'm going back to Wu-Tang Clan stuff, and it's Jizz's shadow boxing with Method Man's first verse in there. It's the best rap verse of
Man,
all time.
you are the old guy. I'm glad I know what you're talking about.
I can't believe you went for my Valentine. I went Wu-Tang.
It varies so much. So a lot of times I'll just keep my headphones in because I don't want anybody judging me for listening to anime fight tunes on workup sets. So it just depends on the
I think that you listen to one of those. I'll never forget it because Tammy is such a fucking badass. And I feel like she makes me feel so good about myself and so bad about myself.
She does that to a lot of people. Don't feel bad.
But it was me. It was me on the end, you in the middle, and Tammy squatting all on the same day.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
you had that 622 for 4. And I think it may have been high bar.
No,
I don't remember what it was.
I can't do that high bar.
Well, it was
Not yet.
It was a pretty
Not yet.
fucking cool squat. But anyway, it was like for like 4 or something.
Yeah, it was a PR
I think you
set.
had that. I think you had one of the Dragon Ball Z songs on.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
Hell's Bells. It was one of Vegeta's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's, I kind of remember that a little bit. That's that fucking electric atmosphere, by the way.
Yeah.
I talked to Tammy about that afterwards. I was like, there's something fucking different about this little fucking tiny.
That blue room, man.
There's something fucking special about it.
Man.
When you said anime, though, I really thought you were going to say The Rumbling.
Why is that?
That's everybody's song right now. Just everybody's huge on Attack on Titan. And
I've never seen Attack on Titan.
Me either.
I haven't seen a lot of the newer anime stuff. So
Okay.
Me being 34, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Naruto, the like I said, the stuff that makes me feel
The
that
90s,
older as we talk about
2000s,
it.
yeah.
Man. So I haven't given a lot of the newer stuff a chance, primarily just because I'm a really busy person, and when I do
That's
have
fair.
downtime, I'm probably sleeping.
right.
But
yeah.
I've said that I'm gonna give Attack on Titan and stuff like, I think it's Jujutsu Kaisen. I hear a lot of youngsters talking about that. Maybe I'll give them a chance, but we'll see.
I just saw like a video of Jujutsu Kaisen, and it was like showing a bunch of stuff where they like paid homage to a bunch of stuff before it.
Mhm.
There was, I can't remember what, there was like some sort of martial arts movie, but there was Gurren Lagann. I don't know if you watched that one. And there was one more that I saw that was specific. I think it was a Gundam show. I don't know if it was Gundam Wing, but I feel like it was Gundam because there was a mech in it that was fighting. But anyway, I'll go with my song and quit the tangent. This one's a little weird for me. Well, not weird for me, but it's a little lighter than usual. But Passenger by Chaos Bay.
I didn't listen to Chaos Bay before.
You haven't? They're like hard rock, I'd say. Like they're not very heavy.
This is surprising. For
Yeah,
me.
like it's, you know,
Are they new or recent?
ish. I think this song specifically came out in 2022.
Okay.
I think so. They're fairly new. They had a guest on it from a band that I like called Oni, which Oni is basically like take all that remains and like their less heavy stuff, and that's Oni.
Okay.
So another like weird one for me because normally I'm like super heavy shit, but like I was listening to it in the gym and I was like, man, this song's fucking good.
I feel like I get judged sometimes for not always putting super heavy shit on.
Right?
If y'all had one song that you would say makes you borderline embarrassed to say, I genuinely love to train to this, like it's in your headphones, but you wouldn't play it in the gym, what is it? Any genre.
Because I have endlessly shit on this band as a former musician, and actually I'm still a musician, but a former professional musician. I've always made fun of this band, but it's a Linkin Park song called Lost Echo.
Good choice. Good choice.
But yeah, that stays on the playlist. Every playlist I ever make, don't even like them, and that song just
You don't like Linkin Park in general?
no.
Oh, man.
no,
I grew up listening to it, so I still listen to Linkin
Listen,
Park.
I'm
That was my introduction to, I guess,
Like the
harder stuff.
alternative or rock, from being somebody that really just listened to R&B and hip hop growing up. Linkin Park was like my intro into broader horizons, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure you know this about me, but all my formal education is in music. I don't know how I ended up in athletics whatsoever. I still don't know how that happened. A love for it, I guess. I don't know. But it's made me incredibly difficult when it comes to music. Like, I'm such a fucking snot. And I know I am. Like, I know I'm difficult to people. Like, so most everything of mine is either like really weird and heavy stuff like me and you listen to, or it's R&B and hip hop. But I'm a bass player, so everything like old funk, like James Brown, all the R&B and all the old hip hop stuff, like they got sampled from all the old funk stuff. That's like near and dear to my heart as a bass player. So like, I very much just like stay in my lane, and what I like is what I like. And I just, like I said, I'm too opinionated for everything else, I'm afraid.
Nothing wrong with
what it
that.
is.
I think powerlifters are probably the most diverse musical group of people that I've been around, honestly. I don't really feel like anybody has anything that they can be harshly. I mean, if you're strong and you're lifting to Mariah Carey or Shania Twain, who's gonna call you? You know, who's gonna think you're weird if you're squatting 600 pounds listening to Shania Twain?
Fucking nobody. No,
it is what it
it's
is.
600 pounds on the bar.
So
it is what it
like
is.
what you like.
Shit, my strongest, I can't really claim Nathan anymore since he's been with Joe. But my strongest other than Nathan is Austin. This is somebody that squats 700 pounds, and his PR song is Jolene by Dolly fucking Parton.
I worked at Cracker Barrel for 5 years. If I never heard another song for the rest of my life, it's that one. That
That
was
one.
started.
I feel about the same way, but for very different reasons.
Yeah.
That motherfucker swear, and he has all this like big eclectic musical taste. Has the coolest taste in music, and then his fucking PR songs, Jolene. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate country music, but I have to admit, I mean, I'll listen to Fancy by Reba McEntire from time to time.
You should have took that one to your grave, my man.
I say plenty of embarrassing shit on this podcast.
Nah, I'm just messing with you, man.
I'm scrolling through my Spotify right now trying to find something.
Embarrassing.
It's really probably just Linkin Park, to be honest with you, because I have like the first
You're
two
just
albums
fucking
on
too
there.
cool.
I am not too cool. I'm the opposite of too cool. Well, I tell you what, I don't really listen to it on like in the gym, but no, I take that back. I have. Come and Get Your Love is on here. So like I have listened to that in the gym. 100%. I have.
Doing what lift though?
I have no idea. I think I was doing accessory work.
Okay.
That is, I'm trying
It
to
wasn't
think
like doing something heavy. It was just
hope
kind of like just
what's the name of that band? It escapes me right now. There's an all Native American soul band from like the 70s. I'm trying to think, what was the name of that band? Help me out.
oh, I don't know. I think it was a
Blackfoot
cover.
rock band.
Red something.
Redbone.
Redbone. Yeah.
That's the name of that band. Yeah, from the 70s. That's a cool fucking band. They did the comedian fucking I like a lot. He was in Star Wars. He was in a bunch of shit.
Oh, Bill Murray.
His,
Yeah.
his TV show. That's their
Bill
fucking
Burr.
intro song. Yeah. F is for Family. Did you ever watch that?
No,
That's the intro song for that show, and it's just kind of fucking makes it.
that's
Sets the whole mood for the show. That's a badass song, though. I love that song. PR songs are done. Plenty of tangents there. Get into the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
So tell us about what you're doing, man. I know you're prepping February 24th when we're doing our little bogus mock meet that day for money, and you're down in Mobile competing for real. So what's that look like for you right now? I mean,
Yeah, that's just the Alabama State Championship in the USAPL. I'm already qualified for Raw Nationals total wise, but I also have a couple guys that I coach that are one's already qualified, and one's getting ready to qualify. He's got the total to do it. It's just in a different federation. So Max, he just did our meet, but essentially we duplicate that or a little bit under that. But on the USAPL platform, he's going to qualify for nationals as well. But so essentially my goal is to get a total big enough to get me in the prime time so it doesn't interfere with me coaching them, especially Zach being a weight class heavier than me. I don't want us to be competing at the same time.
Sure.
I would prefer to have two separate sessions. So
sure.
excuse me. if I don't get into prime time, I've already told them I'm not going to do the meet. I'm not going to take that experience away from my guys in any way from a mental standpoint, knowing that I'm not going to be able to give 100% of myself to them and to myself. So I would rather just give 100% of myself to them. If I can get in the prime time, which I don't really think that's going to be a problem, I'll go ahead and go through with it and compete as long as everything's separate. But if for some reason I can't get in the prime time, I'll just go out as a coach and make sure they have the time of their lives, honestly.
Is it total or dots that qualifies?
It's weird, man. I think the primetime slots are by total.
Okay.
The meet that I just did for the where I was shooting for the pro card was done by dots. So I've been, manipulating body weight and stuff at that particular time. In this particular case, I can just go blow up a total. I haven't PR'd my total in a couple years, but that's also because I've been jockeying for positioning and playing a numbers game with dots. So in this particular meet, I get a chance to go in and just put up my best total, not necessarily worry about positioning, placing and stuff like that. And I'm excited, man, because the showdown in 2021 was my best meet total-wise to date. The Olympia that I just did, I fell short by 6 pounds, but that's only because I opted to pull for the win instead of pulling what I knew I could have pulled on the day. So I'm excited, man. That 1846 total has been on that leaderboard at my gym for too damn long, and I'm tired of looking at it. So it's time to get it off of there.
Hey, man. Hey, that's real fucking cool. That workload when you're competing too is fucking different. I've done it one time and probably never do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it took away from my athlete's day having to worry about myself, especially being in a meet that I hurt myself and having to worry about the rest of my athletes.
I've done that exact same thing in the meet in February when I hurt my back on my opening squat at that. So getting around, standing up, walking around was rough, but I had 2 lifters on the day. So it was either leave and, go. I probably should have gone to the doctor or to the hospital at the time, but I was also there for them. So I stuck it out throughout the day to make sure and both of them had pretty good days. But I felt pretty bad. Try not to show it, but that injury had me sidelined for about a month and a half.
Man, that's I don't know how you manage it so well and so much better than probably I do. And I feel like I've learned a lot from you already. But man, the stress of a coaching day is underrated, especially if you have multiple athletes. Yeah, in a big way. And I remember that meet I got hurt at. It was your first one. I had Ashley competing. I had Mallory competing. Tammy competing. Who the fuck else?
We did have one more. We had one more, but I don't remember
who it was now. But I had 5 other people competing. I just tore my fucking ass in an ab and can barely fucking stand. And my only saving grace that day is my mom just had knee surgery, and she was like, "This is shady, but I got some oxycodone in the car. Like, take one of these." I met my buddy Sonny out in the parking lot. He's like, "Have a pull off this." He always had a 5th of Jack Daniels. He's dead now, poor guy.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. I love that man. That's who my daughter's named after. But he had a 5th of Jack Daniels, and he's like, I was like, I guess I'm fucking going there. I ain't gonna feel shit. And I just remember it was Ashley's first 200-pound bench press, so that was a big fucking deal as a coach for me. I wish it had been in a federation that mattered, because that day we were all competing SPF.
Yep.
And the reason why is we had so many first-time lifters. I was like, this is the shortest day. It's the easiest day. Like, SPF meet, we're going to be done by noon. Like, let's just go have fun, get everybody's first one out from under them. And, but I just kind of remember just waking up in the restaurant after the meet was over and thinking, God damn, I hurt so bad. Like, it sucks so bad. And then Iron City, I love that meet so much. But I want to say I had 7 or 8.
Wait, Iron City. Ultimate Warrior. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had 7 or 8. And I know you were going to think I'm fucking crazy for this. This was a rookie coaching mistake for sure. I made the mistake of, I was wishing for this when I went in. I was like, I just hope I have somebody different in every flight so that I don't have to manage this giant flight.
Absolutely not.
That's fucking not.
You want a flight off if you can. If you can get a flight off, you want a flight off.
Yeah, if you want as many people on one flight as you can fuck.
Absolutely.
Because I have never ran my ass off like I did that fucking day.
It's rough.
That sucks.
Especially if it's a 4-flight meet. Good luck with that.
Yeah, it was.
It's rough, man.
That's a great meet, and it's beautifully ran. And the same guys that run it run fucking everything. And they're
Charlie
does a fucking great job. But getting on the stage, there's this pathway about as wide as this table that people are coming off. and you as a coach and an athlete are going on. So it's like this constant, like, there's always a traffic jam.
Yeah.
And having somebody, man, I bet I walked fucking 30,000 steps that day. It was fucking rough. And I don't know how Sandy ended up with him, but I had Josh Crittner competing that day. He's an amazing athlete, but always manages to bomb somehow. He don't mind me saying this. He's one of those guys, if I tell him to open with something, he's going to open with 50 pounds more, regardless of what I fucking say.
Yep.
He just doesn't listen. This guy's an 800-pound squatter, and I was like, I told my wife, I was like, well, I'm going to have to take some, you're going to have to take some, like, depending on where we're at. And I don't know how she ended up with Josh in the warm-up room, but my wife was warming up my only 800-pound squatter in the warm-up room. And I'm like, fuck. That sucks so bad. She hated my guts.
Is he a rap guy?
Huh?
Is he
No,
rap guy?
he's sleeved. But
He scored 800 in sleeves.
yeah, but I can tell you this. Again, he's never not bombed a meat.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
This is somebody that, like, immensely talented, and he knows this too. And I, again, don't mind saying this. I've told him in person multiple times, he's uncoachable. That is what it is. He'll stay in the pocket and he'll do his whole fucking prep perfect, but when it comes to meet day, he's one of those people that he's got to open with his 1 rep max or some shit.
Was he like 23, 24? Is he young?
Hell, he's my age, and he's done it himself so long, he just thinks he knows better.
Does he have a total?
Like, no.
Okay, wait. So
That's the problem.
He
That's the problem.
He doesn't have a meat total at all.
Not a real meat total. Not one that you can put in a record book or anything. And he's just one of those, like, at some point, he's going to say, I know more than you. I'm going to do it this way. Like, he just, I love the boy. Super talented. 500-pound bench presser, too. Doesn't pull worth a fuck, but, like,
Shit, 1,300 pound
fucking-
subtotal is pretty much. You want to pull a hole out of it.
like, fuck, he squatted, what did he squat at that mock meet one time at any time of all places?
Oh, I
on the
don't
gym
remember.
bar. He squatted 750 on a fucking 32 mil fucking 45-pound gym bar at a fucking mock meet one time.
Sounds
Like, just
terrifying.
fucking, yeah, I don't know how I didn't do the Joel Sullivan thing.
And
like,
just
fucking
bend.
around him. But, like, the dude was bad, but he just wouldn't fucking listen. Like,
Yeah.
nothing. Like, just is what it is. But that was the most stressful coaching day of my
Yeah.
career, for real. But get into some of the stuff we talked about show before the show. Nathan just finished a stint with Joe Sullivan and did a lot of things different. And I
Yep.
feel like me and you did a lot of the things similar. Me and you had box jumps before we squatted, stuff like that, some athletic stuff. You want to tell them kind of what you were doing? You're giving them a kind of a rundown of like philosophy in a sense.
I mean,
Like,
truthfully, I
some
can
of the stuff's
just,
proprietary, obviously, so we don't want to give away everything fucking Joe does, but
I don't know that it is necessarily, but let me just pull up and I can kind of like get a better idea. I can just pull up the old sheet.
basically, we want to give you a rundown of what we've been doing and like your approach to programming. Obviously, I know it a little bit better than Nathan does, but like I think all three of us program for people, and all three of us do things differently, as we probably
Yeah.
should. But
Right.
you know,
think-
get an idea of what Ron likes to do and why he likes to do it.
Yeah. So typically we would start the day with some sort of cardio, like either a bike or the treadmill or something like that. And then we do some sort of like active movement. So it'd be like med ball slams or kettlebell swings, box jumps, anything like that. He did have me at one point box jumping and deadlifting like not simultaneously, but like,
Superset,
yeah, basically a superset. So I'd like do some box jumps, go and do some deadlifts. One thing that I took that I actually really enjoyed was that he split it up. He did a 4-day split. So he did 2 days of powerlifting. And he said, these are the days you're a powerlifter. You go in, you focus on your powerlifting, your squat, bench, and deadlift, and that's it. Your accessory work's just kind of there. And then the other 2 days were your supplementary or bodybuilding days. And you want to go in there and get a huge pump, get a bunch of metabolites, get out. Like that was the whole goal. So that's kind of like a rough breakdown of what we did.
But like I feel like that was pretty consistent, not identical, but pretty consistent with what Ron was doing. And that's something that as a powerlifting coach, I don't necessarily do all the time, but I did a whole lot of. I mean, you both have a CrossFit background. Like we did a whole lot of that shit in CrossFit, obviously. And as it turns out, like, I mean, you didn't hit within your heaviest squatting prep was what, 500 pounds?
It was 545.
So it was a little heavier than I thought
Yeah.
it was. your biggest deadlift was 585 and your biggest bench was 405, 415?
415.
And you went 572,
562.
562, 435, and
436.
662.
661.
Big fucking difference.
Yeah.
But his manipulation of the energy systems is something that maybe I didn't understand quite so well going into it. And like,
there were some pretty,
a lot from like analyzing his program.
Yeah, there was some interesting stuff too. Like he would come in and he'd say, all right, one day specifically, it was part of, so he doesn't actually plan deloads, right? He kind of like, what you have the capability to do of the week is what he's going to plan for. And then like, he programs week to week, not month to month or block to block. So like he'd be like, all right, so I saw that everything was real shitty this week, so you're going to go down. Things were great this week, going to go up. Maybe lifts are different, so maybe this goes up, this goes down, whatever. But one thing that was really interesting, and it was kind of like a deload, but he came in, he said, on this day, I don't want you to listen to any heavy music. I don't want you to do anything other than just listen to some podcasts or air or like
arousal curve.
Cadence, like anything like that. And that was a really different experience trying to go in there and just like nonchalantly go in and lift weight, which it wasn't heavy stuff, right? So you're not really like having to get hyped up for like a 300-pound squat or whatever at our level. But like, yeah, it was just really interesting. It was, and I've had that now where I'm like, I don't really listen to music going to the gym. Like I listen to podcasts when I'm warming up, listen to podcasts, like pretty chill stuff. And then when I lift, I'm like, okay, let's put some music on, like actually get moving and going. So it's kind of altered my brain a little bit to start working like that.
Yeah, I also think honestly, I feel like too much arousal during a prep can lend to extra unnecessary fatigue as prep goes on. So, where you may normally be able to push a block 5 weeks, but you've been snorting ammonia, listening to, death metal for top sets for the entire duration of, a block or the final week of a set block or whatnot, you may end up having to cut that block a bit short just because the fatigue from that overstimulation just really continues to rack up. So kind of one thing I like to do with some of my lifters is pretty much everybody nowadays is heavy on caffeine when it comes to pre-workouts and stuff like that. There are really no super low stim pre-workout. There are some, but it's either no stim or it's high stim. There's really not a whole lot that's kind of in the middle. I like to recommend that my lifters kind of taper down on caffeine and pre-workout and stuff like that, especially that week going into a meet. I don't really see a necessity to drink near the amount of caffeine that you would the week leading up to the meet. Now, I don't have them cut it out completely because now you're talking about, potential withdrawal headaches and brain fog and inability to do your day job and stuff like that. But I always recommend that they back off on it, at least cut it in half. That way you actually benefit from it on meet day. It's not just, carbonation or whatever flavor your favorite pre-workout may be. You actually get some benefit from it. So I like that thought process a lot.
Yeah, that's something I started doing I've only implemented it so far with Austin, but Austin being the only 1,900 pound potential total that we have. His days are segmented into low, medium, and high. And he doesn't get a high day until the peak week of that block. Yeah. You know what I mean? If it's an AMRAP or if it's a top single or whatever it may be for that block, the only thing I'm doing is like, and I've got it designated like low days are podcast, no caffeine, like minimum arousal. Then the middle is you can have an energy drink, you can put on some music, and then the high one is like, you can have your ammonia, you can have your pre-workout, you can have heavy music, whatever you want. And it's worked out really well for him. That's the only athlete I've implemented it with so far. But with somebody that is as strong as he is, it's really, I feel like it's really paid dividends because he's getting up at the right time, I guess. What I mean? That's something I struggle with personally. And I didn't, I've cut out a lot of caffeine anyway, but that's something that I probably need to implement. That's a lot stronger philosophy than I really would have ever thought about until we experienced that with him. But
well, you think about this, like you're taking like the ability to squat with like your CNS just being very neutral. Like let's say being in a what is it?
A more relaxed state.
Is it parasympathetic? Sympathetic. Yeah. I always get the two backwards. But being in a sympathetic state, being able to squat even remotely heavy, right? So let's say like even if it's 80%, being able to squat 80% sympathetically is going to like be practice. It's going to be work. It's going to be a different like stimulus. So then when you go in and you're like super pumped about it, you're just like, I'm going to fucking rip this thing in half. You know what I mean? Like you're just so stoked, and like I don't know. I just think it makes a ton of sense.
Not only that, but it's very personality based too, because you got some people that'll get overly hyped. Now the technique goes to shit, and they can't duplicate the exact same thing on a meet day when you've got a crowd, you've got 3 judges and stuff like that. You can't duplicate what you did in the gym because you're overly hyped, overly stimulated. So it's good to know that you can come in with a baseline, and on your worst day or on your lowest arousal day, hit weights near the top end of your potential and stuff like that. And then at that point, you're only adding on to what you can do on the actual comp day.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, I think that I see that in myself more than see it in anybody. Like, for whatever reason, for the longest, I'm much better about this now, and this takes discipline. This comes with training age, I think. But like, we talk about it with our clients all the time. But approaching 135 and 500 the same is so fucking important.
Yeah, respect the weight at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talked about this. Every minor injury I've had in the gym or something like that hasn't been on a max effort pull or a max effort squat or a max effort bench press. It's been on some shit that I just didn't have respect for.
Yep.
And it's like, there's something to that too. But also when you have a sub-maximal lift and maybe it's an AMRAP or something like that and you don't compete, you don't perform the way you want to on it. It's like, well, did you treat it the same as, as this? But like, if you get in that heightened state of arousal, like, it's probably not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like you're at that point, you're completely in fight mode. You're not in any sense of logic. Like it's like blacking out during a fight. Everybody knows that gym bro or somebody that's like,
I see red.
Out when I fight, I see red. And the next time you're at the bar with them, they get knocked the fuck out. It's because they're not thinking about things logically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going through processes. The same thing happens to us in the gym. And that fucking happens honestly more often than it should. And I do think it's something as coaches we should address more and more often. That being said, Ron, we kind of went on another tangent, man. Like, I guess just give us a background of like what's your you don't have to be exact because I know this stuff's proprietary and stuff like that. But like, what is your philosophy on how you progress weights, how you set something up, how you make a plan, I guess?
So a lot of what I learned was from my very first coach, Chad Wesley Smith, who is known for the Juggernaut principles, scientific principles of strength training. I actually met Chad in 2016 when I was out in Australia competing, and we became pretty good friends at the time, and he went on to coach me into a couple meets after that. Well, a lot of things that he would do for me, I found ways to implement that with a lot of my lifters. And at that time, he was really big in the online seminars and stuff like that on YouTube. So any and everything that he and Max Ada from Juggernaut put out, I was on it. I had the notifications set on my phone for anything that they dropped. When it would come out, I'd be tuned in. So a lot of things that I implement now stem from a lot of things that I learned from them. Block periodization is what I do for the vast majority of people. I just kind of tinker it depending on, say, experience level, male versus female, strength level. So kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier in terms of having scheduled deloads on that 4th week. I tend to have, kind of a 4 to 5 week window specifically for like my guys, my stronger guys. And typically what I'll do is I'll have it kind of set in my mind that for my lighter weight lifters or for my ladies to push them out a bit further, just because women tend to recover much better, especially from volume, than guys do.
Yeah.
So I don't come in necessarily with the preconceived notion that, just because, lifter A, female lifter A is, at a certain total and female lifter B is at a certain total, that both of them are going to be required to deload on the 5th week. I've got some people that I've pushed 8 weeks plus and they're still progressing on a weekly basis, and they're just, not fatiguing. Also, things that come into play are, lifestyle. What is this person's lifestyle? What does this person do for a living? Do they have kids? Are they married? Do they travel for work? I like to get to know my lifters so that I can specifically implement these things into the way that I progress them or I back them off. I don't want to run somebody into the dirt that works manual labor, and I've got them doing, RP 8 singles week to week to week. Some people need that. Some people need that stimulus, like you said, kind of mentally, to keep themselves in the game. And although from a programming standpoint, it may not be the most logical thing to do, if they're going to buy into it, that's going to top logic 90% of the time. If my lifter isn't bought into the program and they're not enjoying themselves, I'm talking specifically mostly younger lifters or inexperienced lifters. My my people who've been doing this for a long time that just want to get better, they'll come in and do the exact same thing every single day for years on end if the total's going up. But you do have some loose cannons that want to mix things up, and that's the only way they're going to stay engaged and want to progress. So it really just depends on the personality, man, and getting to know your lifters and progressing from there.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we know as coaches that the best program is the one that you can stick to.
Absolutely.
You know, that's incredibly fucking powerful.
Yeah.
I'll say this though, it's cool to know that you're a juggernaut nerd too.
I probably watched every video from like 2016 up to probably like 2019, 2020. There's probably not a video on there that involves powerlifting and powerlifting programming that I didn't watch.
I'll tell you something that me and Nathan wear out is the max recoverable volume and the minimum effective volume.
Yeah, man.
We wear that fucker out, dude.
Yeah.
I have made reference to that video more times than I can count.
That was probably the first ebook that I actually downloaded, The Scientific Principles of Strength Training.
Yeah.
That was probably the first ebook that I actually downloaded and actually really spent time going through, because I'm not a big reader. You know, I'm a visual guy, but you know, that was one of the few that I actually sat down and really flipped through the pages. Max
Ada was somebody that really he inspired me to like look into some more odd kind of training. Like initially, Nathan included. I messed around with a whole lot of like Russian style programming for a long time because Max Ada had a lot of experience with Russian programming, the Bulgarian method and stuff from Olympic lifting. And I was like,
you remember that when Squat Every Day was kind of the big thing?
Fuck yeah, I remember. I'll tell you this, and me and him have both done it several times. I wouldn't doubt that you've done it. But another big influence on me early on was Elliot Hulse.
Yeah.
Elliot?
Yes. Oh, what was Strength Camp?
Yeah, Strength Camp. Okay. He had squats and milk.
Like, man.
3 days a week and 1x20 on squat. You add 5 pounds every time you go in there. And that stuff as a beginner paid fucking dividends, dude. Like, I mean, I saw shit shoot up in me and everybody around me like so fast doing that shit. And there just comes a point where your 1 rep maxes are big enough that program is no longer possible.
Yeah.
You're just not going to fucking do that no more.
Yep.
But I just, Max 8 is a lot of the reasons I got into like weird stuff like that. And then like just regurgitating things that him and Chad Wesley Smith were doing. And then they inspired me to hire Brandon Allen, who was probably at the same time you were a client of Chad Wesley Smith. He was. And then, so Chad's programming, I'm guessing Brandon's programming, I'm guessing probably looked a lot like Chad's.
Yeah, we in 2017, actually, me and Brandon, we did the American Cup together at the LA Fit Expo, and Chad happened to be there, being in California. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt that we had a lot of similarities in the way that, you know, we were programmed and stuff. Him obviously being, at the time, he was a 308 or a super heavyweight guy, and I was a 165 or so. There had to be some differences. But yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of similarities from a training standpoint.
I'll tell you one thing, at the height of I got Brandon at the height of volume's not necessarily your friend being a really, really popular sentiment with people, to go in with Brandon and having like 4, 5, 6 sets of things. And then every week, I deloaded every 4th week religiously with him. But that 3rd week was our peak week, and we were going to hit an AMRAP at something god-awful heavy. Like it might be 20 pounds heavier than we've hit the rest of the block, and we were going to hit an AMRAP, and he expected, if we were in a block of 8s, he wanted 8 plus.
Good God.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you this, though, and while I don't necessarily completely reflect and believe in his programming the same way I used to, volume fixes a lot of shit. I mean, because I think, I say this a whole lot, and I don't want to run an athlete into the ground ever. It's all according to what they can handle. But for me, I relate it back to music. You were a baseball player, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like taking batting practice or something like that, right? We're developing a skill. The more, even if it's an empty barbell, the more licks you have squatting, bench pressing, or deadlifting, like the more refined technique becomes, the better you're going to get at stuff to a point. You know what I mean? Like, so I really feel like, you know, like I said, kind of with Brandon at the height of all of a sudden volume's been a good thing for 100 years. And now we're at the height of everybody's opinions. Volume's bad. He took me right back into volume, and it made me competitive because I wasn't going to be before. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I learned a lot from that. I also kind of learned not to do from that too, because that was 3 weeks of heavy volume like that was fucking brutal. I remember coming off of deload weeks and like going from like 10s to 8s or something like that, and coming off deload week and my hamstrings cramping at like 2nd or 3rd set of squats and just not being able to fucking complete the volume, like just being fucking dead.
Was your nutrition still shitty back then too, though? You think that contributed to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it could have been part of that too.
One person on the planet, yeah, and I'll say this though, Brandon knew that. You know, he's like everything else, like I do. Like I'm sure I know you do because you've asked me, and I know Nathan does. You know, he gets a weekly assessment from me. He knows what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, stuff like that. How I'm sleeping, what drugs I'm taking, what I'm eating, everything else. And like, it was fucking brutal. That's the only thing I gotta say.
In fairness, I usually only get the bad updates.
Yeah, you generally only get
I don't get the good updates. I'm not like, hey, dude, I ate chicken and rice today with a little bit of broccoli. Never get that.
Yeah, we don't care about
It is what it is. The Chincident happened with Brandon too. Does Ron know about the Chincident?
The Chincident? I don't know.
Chincident?
I'm not sure.
So Brandon had me programmed 6 sets of 2 at a specific weight. I don't remember what weight it was on deadlifts one night. My dumb ass. First of all, at the time, I'm on more gear than anybody should have fucking been on, and especially to be as weak as I am, I definitely shouldn't have been on it. Wasn't doing me any damn good. I go in at like 7 o'clock one night, and I'm hitting these fucking deadlifts. And I go
This was after training all day, right? Like train clients.
All day. Yeah, after working all day, I'm hitting these fucking deadlifts. And get to my 6th set, pull the first one, it's fine. Pull the second one, and everything just like the lights just turn off, right? And I managed to ride the deadlift to the ground, and then I pass out over the bar. And I'm in a commercial gym, right? Because I used to work at it anytime. And there's a little ramp like on the front
I know
of the deadlift platform.
I know what you're talking about.
My chin hit that. Fucking gashed it open. Fucking blood everywhere, like terrible.
Fortunately,
all over the place. Knocked myself out. Had a seizure because I knocked myself out. And I get up and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna finish the rest of my workout. My wife's like, no, the fuck you are. Like, you're not fucking finishing this step. You're not gonna finish the session.
Did you have the beard at the time?
Oh yeah.
So you got a little bit of cushion then.
A little bit.
Minimal, but some, yeah.
But anyway, we go to the emergency room. They shave out the center of my beard. It's like fucking to the bone right here or whatever, right? And this is how I got my only endorsement as a powerlifter. It's fucking all the way to the fucking shin bone, dude. And they fucking stitched it back up. It was a big pain in the ass. They come back and they were like, listen, man, I had like 800 milligrams of caffeine too. This is also when I stopped taking so much pre-workout. This is how I learned to not take much pre-workout. They were like, listen, man, you're bad dehydrated and you got more caffeine in you than we've ever fucking seen before. It's like, you're going to have to drink a bottle of water. And anyway, the doctor comes in and he's like, listen, if you wouldn't have had this mouthpiece in, you would have lost all your fucking teeth. Like, we'd be talking about like major dental surgery, like, because you hit your fucking chin hard. Like, I had a concussion, had to get like CT scans and everything else. And anyway, so a couple days later, I just messaged New Age Performance. I'm like, hey, I just want to say thank you because I passed the fuck out the other day and your mouthpiece kept all my fucking teeth in my head. so thank you. And they're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Can we see the video? And we're like, yeah, we pulled it off the security cam, sent it to them. They're like, you get 40% off the rest of your life. No. And they used me in an advertisement.
That's fantastic.
Didn't they send you a bunch of them too?
Yeah,
they sent you like 3 or 4.
For 3.
Yeah.
I had a discount code the rest of my life.
Which one were you using? Were you
New
using
Age?
No, I mean like what was
3DS.
The 3DS.
This one from weight lifters. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool.
That's
Being
wild,
stupid
man.
pays sometimes.
Wow.
We're working on my discipline. Real hard. I promise you that the next time I hire you for a prep, you're going to see a much different person.
Not 800 milligrams of caffeine. Please.
No, I haven't done that in years now.
You've been off
Since
pre-workout.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do take some upper body days. I take half a scoop sometimes. And then I sent you this, the hydraulic every now and then. If I really feel like I need to pick me up, I'll do a non-stem on leg days.
I really like this stuff, honestly.
But listen, like I tell clients this all the time. If you're going to take so much caffeine that your heart rate's going to spike, it's going to keep you from performing that set of 10 on squats I need you to perform because you can't fucking breathe through it. You don't need to fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Or you're not able to come down enough in time to go to sleep. I mean, it's counterproductive at that point if you're not able to sleep and repair and recover. Who cares how your training went on the day?
There was that same time period. I mentioned what all I was on, and I had hired again against Brandon's wishes. I had hired an anabolic coach, separate from Brandon Allen, and they were a bodybuilder. Which nothing against bodybuilding, but these people take a gram a week or better, and they were like, I want a half cc of test E, tren E, and master on E 3 times a week. So this is what I'm taking. And this, by the way, this is the first time I had started already taking testosterone for my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So up to that point, I had done like 200 milligrams a week, to put me back together because I was in shambles at that time. But I was taking so much, I was just getting night sweats and staying up all night. I wasn't sleeping. So like the caffeine was like adding to it. I wasn't sleeping, so I'd wake up tired as fuck. I would go get a coffee in the morning, pre-workout before I worked out. Fucking 2 or 3 coffees later, a fucking tea from one of the fucking shake places. Like I was probably knocking down 1,500 milligrams of caffeine at the time.
Never ending cycle. Caffeine, sleep like shit. More caffeine, sleep worse.
Man, when I tell you in coaching, I learned everything the hard way. I learned everything the fucking hard way. Everything my people do is because I did it fucking so wrong. Like I know it. It is what it is. But September to October that year, I went like 30 some odd days, like 45 minutes to an hour of sleep every night, and lost like fucking 34, 35 pounds in less than a month. Fucking.
I remember that because you pulled me into the office one day and we're like, dude, and you just like let it all out because you were so like stressed and frustrated. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, I wasn't expecting this.
So I learned it the hard way. It is what it is. I feel like I'm telling on myself now.
You feel guilty about it?
Just the guy in charge. I feel really guilty about it.
So when all your clients bring all this shit up, now they're gonna hold over your head.
Nah, they'll know better. Hopefully, nah, I don't think they'll. I think for the most part, my clients appreciate how open and honest I am about things. I don't like to hide a lot from them, because I do like to be able to point to it and be like, "Listen, like
I've done this.
This is the wrong way to fucking do this. I can prove it to you with blood work and medical records. I got video, stitches. Like you can't be doing this, man. Like, you gotta do it right." So it's funny now, but it is what it is, I guess. You got some serious questions for Ron?
Serious? I don't know about serious, but so you're in prep. So like, what is your plan if you're okay being open with it? Like, what are the numbers that you're aiming for when you compete?
This particular meet, I'm not really looking for individual numbers. I'm looking more so for a total. I want to hit something minimum about 1860. Very, very top end, maybe closer to 1900. I think realistically, I'm gonna be capable of 1900. It's just gonna kind of be one of those things of, am I gonna need it? Okay. My biggest goal, like I said earlier, is I want to get a total big enough that would get me into the primetime slot at Nationals, which is in September. So with this meet being at the end of February, I'm not gonna compete again between the two, and that's just gonna give me all the time I need to really build and hopefully make a real run at a potential win. Podium spot is the goal, but if I can sneak into that top spot, then obviously I'm going to go for it. But I don't really have any individual numbers. Squat is my favorite lift. It's my best lift. So realistically, I would like to hit a small PR on that. But realistically, I just want to total something, 1860 plus. Like I said, 1846 is my best total. I think 1860 plus is what's going to be required. Just kind of knowing some of the top guys in the weight class. That's probably going to be that marker, that cutoff that I think would get me into that primetime spot for the 220s.
So are they just pulling basically like totals leading up to who signs up? Like, is that how they're gauging primetime? I'm not
100% sure how that process even works, to be honest with you. I just know that based on when I look at the lifters that have been selected for primetime in years past, I go back and I kind of see where their totals are and kind of see where they ranked, and then because obviously some people that have the totals that would get them into prime time, they may not be doing nationals at all. They may be doing another federation, or they may just be waiting on another specific meet due to travel reasons or financial costs and all that other stuff. So it's not necessarily like a top 5 or top 10 ranking. I think it kind of falls based on who signs up and then where you're ranked at that particular time. So if I'm 10th and they take 5 spots or something like that, then I guess that's probably 5 people that I need to hope opt to not do the meet for me to get in or something like that. So I would assume that's kind of how they do it, but I kind of want to make it so that I don't leave any doubts. And I feel like that 1860 plus would guarantee me a spot. 1900, obviously, that would have placed me second at Nationals this year. Okay. So if I can get, the closer I can get to that 1900 mark, the more comfortable I feel about, me getting into that primetime slot. Because that's the only way I'm actually going to do Nationals is if I can make that primetime slot. Because I don't want to take anything away from lifters that I have doing the primary session.
Gotcha. So, any thoughts on maybe in the future, like American Pro or Ghost Clash or anything like that?
I got invited to the Ghost Clash last year. Not last year, it was the year before last. I don't necessarily have any plans on it this particular year because, like I said, my primary focus right now is I want to do Raw Nationals at least one time. I don't have what I would consider allegiance to one federation. I've been primarily USPA, WRPF. I started in the APA actually, but I've been primarily USPA, WRPF for the bulk of my competitive career. So I've done 3 USAPL meets total now. I don't have necessarily a preference right now. I'm just kind of on a mission. I want to do nationals that one time. I don't necessarily know that I'm gonna stay on that side, but like I said, pretty much anything's possible. The American Pro looks so much fun.
I know, right?
And I qualified to be there. Like it wouldn't be a matter of can I be there. It's just that the timing of it, I think they're like 4 or 5 weeks apart between that and nationals, and they just wouldn't be feasible for me to. I could do both, but one's gonna suffer big time. And on those 2 platforms, I want to be 100% my best at both.
Right.
So maybe the American Pro 4 in 2025. Maybe I'll step on that platform. But with the way the sport's changing now, and the split between the drug tested federations, the Powerlifting Americas and stuff like that, I don't know. Maybe I'll venture over that route after 2024. But I'm not ruling anything out, honestly.
Were you not chasing your own squat record in Alabama at one point? Or is it a national record? I'm sorry. 'Cause I know you got national records and stuff.
Yeah, at one point the USPA drug tested national record, which I think I still have it. It was like high 6s. It was like 688 or something like that. But at one point I was chasing what was the most recent one? I want to say that. Yeah, I think that's the one that is most notable as far as recently. I don't really keep up with a lot of like the state records and stuff like that. In a lot of cases, most of them, especially at 220 in the state, I have them. So like I'm typically chasing most of the national records and world records and stuff like that. The majority of records that I don't have are deadlifts, because obviously the deadlift is my worst lift. I'm a decent deadlifter at the absolute best. It's my worst lift. It's my nemesis, but that's the one that I've been, I would say, emphasizing the most with my current coach, Jaslyn Pepper, she's been fantastic. Got nothing but great things to say about her. But we've been pushing that really, really hard, and I want to get to where I'm consistently pulling at least in the low 7s on a meet to meet basis. I don't want it to be a long shot to pull 700 plus. I want it to be potentially a second attempt and then only go further if I absolutely need to.
Sure.
So we're getting there. I've had a couple really good blocks of deadlifts with her recently, and I think we're about to have a breakthrough.
Have you been over 500 on bench yet? I follow you pretty close.
No. So when I hurt my back early this year, going back to talking about Russian program, and I ran the Smolov Junior program. And anybody that doesn't know what Smolov Junior bench program is, it's basically so you're benching 4 days a week, and I mean I can tell you the exact program right now. It's 6x6 at 70%, 7x5 at 75, 8x4 at 80, and then 10x3 at 85. And then you add 5 kilos to each session from the previous week on the following week. So the first 2 days have a day in between them. So it's Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday and Saturday are back to back. So you have the 8x4 and the 10x3 back to back days at 80 and 85%. So on week 3, at the end of week 3, I was doing 407 for a 10x3. Which is the absolute most ridiculous. I survived it. But at that time, you're not squatting or deadlifting anything significant. So the goal is to essentially put those kind of on the back burner, keep it at 55-60% for technique maintenance more than anything, and just basically try not to backslide in that meantime. If you try to push those, you're gonna hurt yourself. If you're not in a surplus, especially at moving those weights, you're probably gonna hurt yourself. So I was the heaviest I've ever been at that time. I got up to about 232. I hit 486, which at the time was a 22-pound PR. I did try 500, got it about halfway up, just couldn't finish it. But I had to go for it. There was no way I wouldn't have to go for it. So my goal for that entire thing was, one, keep me motivated, because I was so I was borderline depressed after I got hurt, because like I said, I was going up for the state meet, and I had plans to extend my record, the national record, even further at that meet, and I got hurt on my opening squat. And like I said, not being able to train like I want to train and like I know I'm capable of, that's a really big part of who I am, and my identity and stuff like that. It was borderline depressing. So I had to find something from a training standpoint to kind of keep me excited about going to the gym, and what better way to do it than let's chase a 500-pound bench press.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, makes sense, man. 100%. I mean, that's good shit.
I'd like to get there one day.
I would like to get there. But
It'll happen.
That does kind of spring me into another question. In a day and an age where, like, me and Nathan talk about it, like, with clients, like, you pull how you win, right? Sumo, conventional, I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever is going to get you the biggest total is how I want you to pull, right? I don't really care. But in a day and an age where it seems like everybody's got a big deadlift now because they're either gifted at conventional or they've figured out how a way to manipulate sumo in a way that they can just fucking pull a lot of weight, which both are gifts, not taking away anything. Do you feel like, and me and Nathan, I think, kind of do you feel like bench press is kind of slowly starting to be the thing that separates, like, people?
Yeah.
Because, like, you take a look at somebody like Hack, right? Like, at 198 pounds, nobody's fucking touching that bench press.
Right. not full power.
Not full power. You know what I mean? Like, do you not kind of feel like that's kind of starting to trend that way in some instances?
I feel like more people are starting to take bench seriously, and not so much as kind of the intermission. Whereas, like, you got a lot of guys who are deadlift specialists who have squats, bench, and then it's like, okay, well, my opening deadlift is going to pull me into, first place position from 10th. Or whatnot. Yeah. You got a lot of guys that just don't want to play catch up like that anymore.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have kind of finally seen the light, and they've had enough of just being, elite or world class at one lift, and they're starting to take their training across the board on all three lifts a little more seriously. And honestly, it's nice to see. You do still have some people who are just going to be leverage gods. There's no way around that. But I feel like the trends of, especially with guys wanting to get bigger and get stronger and not necessarily just be so really good at refining technique. I stress that a lot. I want my guys to be muscular. I want my guys to be big guys. I want my guys to be strong guys. Be proficient from a leverage standpoint as well. But ultimately, if your leverages and your technique fail, you need to be able to muscle through some shit sometimes.
Yeah,
you're not going to always be able to depend on technique, especially on meet day when the weights are 100+%. If you're not brute force strong to some degree, something's going to fail you.
Man, I think the biggest difference in bench press I've seen, like, as a coach, one of my first meets as a coach was at Diamond K. It was a USAPL meet. My wife was competing. I think I had one more competing. Well, you had all these natty guys go out, and they had 600 and 700 pound squats and deadlifts. And I'm like, fuck, this is huge. And then the same guys go out and bench press like 275.
Yeah, that always bothered me.
But now you're seeing those guys, like, they're kind of fucking catching up. Like, just at your meet the other day, drug tested event, you had multiple guys 350 plus.
Yeah.
And then Lentini did he not press 402 or something at 165 or 181 something?
I think that was it. I think he did the meet at 181 because him and Max went heads up, but I don't think he was even a full 181. He may have been somewhere in the mid 170s.
I mean, that's like,
yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 170.
You talking about people taking everything a little bit more seriously than they used to is evident, because there was a time where it's like, it didn't kill a meet, but like you went to a USAPL meet or a drug tested meet and you're like, super excited to watch everybody squat, and then like, oh, it's bench press.
That's it.
It's like,
where's the bathroom at?
We're gonna go find a place to eat lunch.
Yeah.
And even still, bench is probably the least entertaining of the three, but now you do have more people who are worth sticking around to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Bench, I think it's kind of an underrated part of the whole thing. Everybody's excited about deadlifts, but I think it's sneaky. Like, from a spectator standpoint, these are long days. I think it's deadlifts kind of because everybody's ready for the shit to be over.
It depends.
Sometimes, you know what I mean? Now, like, back splits was fucking huge. It was fun.
Man,
you know what I mean? Like, there's always exceptions to that, but like, everybody's always up for deadlifts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think
one of those things, like,
when I was watching the American Pro, when I was watching, it was the women's wrapped with like Brianni and Hunter Henderson and Denise Herber. I thought bench was probably one of the most fun parts of it. Like, because just seeing these women just go out there and like bench ungodly
I love watching the
numbers.
women bench.
Yeah.
Like seeing a woman bench, high twos into the threes, and in some cases you got some that are approaching 4. Women's benching, as far as from a spectator standpoint, to me personally is more entertaining, especially at the the top levels and stuff like that. But and this day and age, more than ever, bench isn't necessarily going to win the meet for you at these top meets, but it can easily lose you the meet.
Sure.
So I guess what I'm saying is, like you said, if you've got big squat, big deadlift, and a shit bench, realistically, your chances just kind of plummet. If you've got something that's kind of middle of the pack, I'm not saying you're the best bench in the class, but if there's 12 people in a flight and you're somewhere in that 5-6 spot, but you got a big squat and a big deadlift, you're in a really good spot. But if you're leading off the flight with bench press, you're probably killing your chances to win the meet.
Sure. Me and you didn't really get an opportunity to talk about this with me personally because my bench press is nearly as good as my squat, unfortunately. But because I had that pec strain, and I don't know if you remember, but I ended up having a close grip on competition day.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what your bench press philosophy is, but I tend to find that, and I don't know maybe if it's in my programming or something else, and if it's my fault, you should tell me, absolutely. But I feel like bench press tends to be the most unreliable, so it's something I tend to undershoot attempts-wise for people more than I do squat and deadlift, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like if their gym best is 400, we may not necessarily touch 400 on the platform.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you normally call that. And it's probably individual.
So much of it depends on the day. So if they took let's say, an RP 8 third squat, okay, well, they're probably pretty fresh going into bench press. But if their third attempt was a death grind, then you can't really expect to necessarily duplicate top end or go above what they hit in the gym just based on the fatigue from the squat alone.
So you're actively looking at their squat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I come in with a game plan of only openers on meet day, as far as like if I'm handling you in person, I know what you're going to open with, and that's it. Yeah. So I judge attempts, like subsequent attempts after that, based on how the previous attempt moved. If your warm-ups look like dog shit before the opener, the opener actually happens, I'll go lower the opener. There's no ego here, and I try to stress that to all my lifters as well, but I choose attempts on the day based on how the day is moving. Is the meet moving really fast? Is the flight shorter because somebody maybe, went from a 12-person flight to a 10-person flight because 2 people didn't show up on the day or something like that? Little things like that little nuances like that can make the difference in somebody hitting a really long grind of a third attempt and just missing a third attempt at lockout or something like that. So those things matter a lot.
Now, you're a really, really good student of powerlifting in general. You know the rule book better than anybody, probably better than the people that fucking wrote the things most of the time. Do you feel like that's what separates good coaches from great coaches?
I feel like what separates good coaches from great coaches is giving a fuck. Realistically, emotional investment in your clients' performances goes so far, and really, I was having this discussion with Tammy. Tammy, she just coached at her first meet as a powerlifting coach, and she came up to me afterward and said that she has that much more respect for me as a coach because we would go out and celebrate and stuff after her meets. And she told me this was, she had 2 lifters at this meeting. She was fucking exhausted afterward. So she's basically, kind of reiterating the fact that if you are heavily emotionally involved in your client's progress, you're going to be exhausted afterward, and not just that day. We're talking for a couple days after and stuff like that. But I feel like that's what separates good coaches from great coaches is genuinely not as a number, not as a dollar amount, but really and truly caring about the progress and the mental headspace of your clients, from a success standpoint. Because obviously, they've got friends and family there, or there's a live stream and all this other stuff. So you don't want to let them down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I feel like really separates it.
That lets me know I'm going in the right direction at least. Because I do give a fuck about my people. Yeah. Very, very much so. More than I do about myself, and that's probably obvious.
I'm the same.
That's good shit for real.
Funny.
Reflect on there.
Funny enough, actually, I tagged Joe in that post of my favorite IG pages, and he actually messaged me like, this has been months since I've talked to him. He's like, hey, how's it going? Like, you doing all right? And we talked for a little bit. It was really nice to see, especially like just doing online coaching, right? Because I've never seen him in person.
Right.
And he still reached out to me just because I tagged him in something just to see how I was doing, make sure I was okay. So that was like, it was pretty cool. It felt really good.
Was for the longest. And I'm pretty sure, I'm probably not a stretch to say that, probably not once a week, but me and you probably at least talk every month since we've trained together.
Yeah.
Like I think that, and I definitely have clients where I talk to them regularly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I mean, you were a good example of that. Like you haven't been mine for a long time, and we're still.
Yeah, but we're going to talk anyway.
We kind of do business together and stuff too. But but beyond that, there's people that I haven't seen personally, and I don't know how long, but I still want to know how they're doing, where they're at, if they're training still, how it's going, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think because I could have gone and taught a lot of things. I could have gone and taught music and probably been really proficient at it. A really, really good player. I could have done anything in music I wanted to do, and that lifestyle was exhausting to me. Can't lie to you. There's something freeing about taking care of somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Like it's I feel like from somebody that suffers from a whole lot of mental issues, me and you talk about this on the podcast all the time, and you might not know, Ron, it is what it is, but like, my point of view, I mean, but just, it's a whole lot easier for me to dedicate myself to somebody else than it is to dedicate myself to myself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. I will go above and beyond for somebody else. And I think that's the draw of coaching, to be honest with you. And I got into powerlifting very differently than a lot of people got into it. I got into it out of necessity because I was the only person at the CrossFit gym. We had 4 or 5 people come up and say, I kind of want to do a powerlifting meet. And you look around the room and like, I'm the only guy that knows how to periodize a program. And I'm like, I guess I'm coaching up the powerlifting meet. That's how I got introduced to it. And then I just fucking liked it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not good at it. You know what I mean? But it was just like, it's you or nobody. You got to take care of these people. And it's just like, I'll man up. I'll fucking take care of these people. It is what it is. But man, the whole sport in general is, the whole sport's incredible. The community's incredible. It's taught me to let go of a lot too, to be honest with you. Not just ego, but like, just how you treat people in general and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's so easy to have these like preconceived notions about, I'll be honest with you. Lentini, I talked to him for the first time at your meet the other day. Me and him have been peers of each other for years now. Never talked to one another. And honestly, that crew kind of gets on my fucking nerves at some point. You know what I mean? But I talked to Lentini for the first time, and the dude's cool as a fucking fan blade, dude. I'm so like, I was so mad at myself for not having introduced myself and talked to this man before. And like the whole powerlifting community as a whole was just, it's a fucking awesome place to be. Yeah. So I'm really, really happy that all 3 of us get to bring new people up in it, because it's, it really is. I don't know if you can experience it somewhere else any better than what you do here. Like, it's a very open and inviting community, and it's easy to want to take care of people in this community. Yeah, it really is.
And the sport has exploded in Alabama. And having started in 2014, I feel like I've already been through 3 different eras of the sport, because the sport is so much different. When I first came into it, raps was still a huge thing. Now, there's maybe 2 big rap meets a year, and if you got a 60 lifter meet, you may have 5 people in the entire meet that are in raps. So the dynamic of the sport at this point is crazy. Now you've got these outliers coming in from other sports, playing 2 years of college football and deciding they don't want to play football anymore. Oh, what's this powerlifting thing? I've been squatting 600 plus pounds in the weight room for the last 5 years doing football. Let me go do this as my sport. So what we've seen change in just the last few years, in the next 3 years, it's going to be 5 times what it is now. I have the utmost faith that the sport is just only going to continue to grow.
I came in at odd because the meet that my ladies competed in the first time, I had 3 girls and 1 guy, the first powerlifting meet I coached. And this was this first meet is my complete introduction to powerlifting. Like, I didn't know nothing other than I needed to take these ladies from point A to point B. I didn't know what meet day looked like. Read the rule book. That's the best I could fucking do up to this point, right? I got in it when it was still kind of like, it was weird that they were doing raw. Like, it was all, man. It was all single ply and multiply most of the day.
And then in SPF, they were all put together anyway. So wraps and sleeves was all considered raw at the time. It was the same category.
Yeah, and it was just weird. When you competed your first major event, the SPF Nationals, thought you and Austin both had to go out there, and it was funny. We watched y'all go out there and both outlift multiply guys, basically.
Yeah.
But it was just, I still had a lot of people in suits, like when I first started coaching, and I know you've been coaching longer, but it's just that my introduction was the SPF, and that's what they do. So, like, got in it, and it's all, and like, I'm like, what's this fucking thing? What's single ply and multiply mean? I don't even fucking know. Like, you get there, it's just fucking, it's crazy that's like, I don't think I've seen somebody put a multiply suit on since Knoxville 2020. Like, and it's been that long since I've been around multiply now, and it seemed like it was like every fucking weekend. I was going to see a single ply or multiply competitor. Even the meet the USAPL meet that me and Christina Myers hosted here, you had half those competitors were single ply. Like, and now it's
Did y'all really have that many single ply?
Yeah.
Was that,
a lot of
let's see, what year was that? Because was that the year before the World Games? Because I know we had the World Games.
Beginning of 2020, because we had COVID restrictions, and that was the weirdest thing in a powerlifting meet. Because we all had masks on, and you still had to maintain your distance, and you still had to get people warmed up, and you still had to, like, it was a pain. But we hosted here at a brewery in Coleman.
Okay, I do remember that.
Yeah. And that was an experience. But hell, we had seriously 25 lifters that were single ply there. They all came from like 2 different teams in Mississippi over here to compete, so they were kind of
okay. I know
they're kind of all regional.
You
know what I mean? But it's not been. We're not that far removed from it still being a assisted sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
hell, with these sleeves now, damn, it pretty much is assisted with some of these stiff sleeves now, man. It's like a light wrap almost.
I just bought some Strength Shop Pros, and you can't do a fucking air squat in those things.
So have you worn any of the other ones?
I have not worn. I chose the Strength Shop over the Enzer because of price alone.
That's understandable. How much were the Strength Shop ones?
75 and tax.
So the Pioneer ones, because those are the ones I wear, they're right at 75 also. I wasn't sure if they were on par with because I've never worn, the only ones that I've worn are the Ghost sleeves and the Pioneer, which are pretty much the same sleeve, except the Ghost sleeves that I had, they were a size too small. I just had to size up, but I haven't worn the other ones.
Boy, I went from a Norse Fitness 5mm sleeve. It's like a CrossFit sleeve, basically, to these fucking Strength Shop Pros, and my mind is fucking blown.
That's a big jump. That's a big jump.
That's a big jump. And I get it out, and I'm like, one of these sleeves weighs 2 pounds. Like, what the fuck? These things are the heaviest things I've ever fucking put on before in my life. It is what it is. It's kind of funny. But
yeah, I didn't know Strength Shop made those stiff sleeves yet.
I've been using the wraps for a long time, and I needed new wrist wraps, and I was like, I was already, I have an issue. One of my lifters can't afford sleeves. I should have bought him the new sleeves. I was a little shitty for doing this, but I was like, I need to move up to a better sleeve. You just take my sleeves, and I'll be the one that fucking buys expensive ones or whatever. And so I bought me the Strength Shop so I could hand those down to him. And my mind was fucking blown because I was like, the longest I've always been that coach, and that attitude is like, it can't be that fucking big of a difference. Like, we'll fucking prep it out of you. Like, it'll be okay.
Definitely different.
It is a big fucking difference. Yeah, my mind's blown. I can't lie to you. Like, it's.
Did you get stuck in them the first time you won?
Fuck yeah, I got stuck in them the first time.
Had to.
My wife was. I put them on before I even got in the gym. I was like in the bedroom.
Oh no!
Like, pulled them up.
No.
And they pulled up easy, right? Because they're kind of big. This big sell up is 7mm. Like they said, Strength Shop said, if you're in between, we suggest sizing up. And I've never liked an overly tight knee sleeve. I know it may be a benefit. People can say what they want to, but if you're not comfortable in it, you probably don't need to fucking squat in it.
That's right.
So I sized up, put them on. They slid up fine. Got up, tried to do a couple air squats on them. I'm like, fuck, these things are stiff. I went to take it off, and I'm like, fuck, these things are stiff. So it ended up being me and Sandy for 20 minutes, like me on the bed, leg in the air, and her trying to wrestle a sleeve off of me. But it was pretty funny. Finally figured it out in the gym that I kind of had to roll them down and like get them to flip. It's okay. But it is what it is.
Baby powder.
Baby powder. Yeah.
That's the trick.
I never have baby powder on me. I know it's the worst thing. And I know I need it. Trick. And do you know that you're the first person to get on to me for not having baby powder?
Really?
You don't fucking know this, but we were at TriStar, and this was my second meet to ever coach. And I had 4 or 5 ladies there. And I had a bigger girl. She was my biggest bench presser. She's the one that ended up bench pressing 2 plates in an SPF.
What year was this? Because I've coached at that meet before. It's in Gardendale, right?
It's in Gardendale. My dad lifts at that. I just lifted that gym on Saturday. I've been down there a lot. I want to say it was like 2017, 2018.
If it was 18, I may have been there.
I think it was 18. Yeah, it was 18 because it was the year me and Sandy got married. But Ashley's fucking warming up for deadlifts. Deadlift sticking on her thighs and she can't lock a deadlift out. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I've never dealt with this problem before. It's just one of those things, if you don't know it, you haven't learned it, just is what it is. Like, what am I gonna do? And you just walk up and be like, hey, just have her put baby powder on her fucking thighs. that's pretty well literally the only thing you said. You're like, baby powder. And I'm like, okay, baby powder.
I'm just glad you didn't do chalk, because I see people like, well, I just thought that's what everybody had on the ledge is chalk, and it gets stuck right here.
Yeah.
The sticks, right? I'm pretty sure I was smart enough not to try chalk because obviously we use it for grips.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I remember that specifically. And then I'm gonna do some horn tooting right here and brag on you a little bit. We did that, and you helped me there. I went to the longest meet of my life. I had 5 or 6 athletes, and one of them was a Special Olympics category at Christina Myers' meet at Wetumpka, a USAPL meet.
Keep that kilo on the Coosa meet.
Yep, and it got moved. It used to be in the CrossFit gym, but it was a year after it got moved to the small CrossFit gym. Remember, it was a real tiny place. It was like a 15 or 16 hour day. It was insane.
In Wetumpka, or was it when it moved to Prattville?
Because that had been in Prattville. Okay. It was in a small CrossFit gym, man. Okay. Like, I mean, it was like, I'm talking about ceilings not much higher than
it was. Yeah, it would have been in Prattville. Yeah.
Yeah, that place was wild. And you were there coaching, and I was like, I want to be that fucking guy. It was like, this guy, like, he fucking, I'm pretty sure you fucking killed everybody, to be honest. And I remember talking to you that day. I don't remember what we talked about, but we chatted a little bit then. But I was like, man, this guy, like, if I could be like half what this guy is, like, I can make a name for myself in Coleman. Like, I can make a career out of this. And I think that, like, that was before I decided to hire you as a coach, but that was like a defining moment of, like, I felt like I was, even though I'm not that great at powerlifting myself, I felt like I was making the right decision because of, like, how you acted and how you, like, controlled yourself and your athletes that day. That was a big fucking deal. And then you kicked my ass at Queens of the Beach.
Hey,
and I was like, fuck him.
To be fair, the ladies I brought to Queen of the Beach, where I had an absolute squad down there, bro. Like there ain't a whole lot of people on the local level that were beating that team, aside from the girl that I think Liz won that meet. Liz Robato from Florida.
Yeah,
didn't she win? I think she won that. Nobody was beating Liz on that. But
Liz is good. And I don't know if you remember, but she turned around and won yours in March.
Yeah, because I personally invited her to come up and do it. Yeah, so
Liz beat my wife again in March.
she's
but it was Monet, and what it was is, again, this is something you go back and learn as a coach and be like, I just should know the rules better. You had put in a deadlift selection for Monet. I had put in one for Sandy. They were in the same weight class, and you knew something I didn't, and that's that you could change an attempt. And
I remember standing by the table talking to Lauren when I said it too. I was like,
you put in. I really do think, and maybe we need Monet here to clarify, because Sandy's just gonna kiss my ass and be like, "Yep, that's what happened." But I'm pretty sure you called up something like 30 pounds more than Monet had ever pulled before.
So okay,
it was something tremendously. This is what happened.
It wasn't quite that much, but there was a miscommunication between. I'm pretty sure it was Lauren Brewer. She was at the scores table, and so I did go over and I made an attempt change or whatnot. Well, my plan was I was gonna, because I'm pretty sure you went first, and I can't remember. I think you missed or she missed. I can't remember.
She may have missed. Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna and so on a third attempt, you get 2 changes or whatnot. So I was going to bring her third attempt down because she didn't need what I initially put in, which was at the time would have been a gargantuan PR. Well, for some reason, either one of us had a misunderstanding of the interpretation of the rule, or maybe I got to her after they said, platform's ready or whatnot. So by that point, it was too late for me to change it. So in the back of my head, I'm like, did I really just cost this girl second place potentially? Because that was the goal, behind Liz or whatnot. Well, she comes up and she pulls just this monstrous grind. So in the back of my head, I'm like, thank God. It was like, I didn't think that I had screwed that up, but apparently I was like a couple seconds too late to get over there to drop the attempt. Because you have until they actually say bars loaded or platform ready in USPA. To change the attempt, and I think I was just a couple seconds too late. And like I said, she clutched it up and she pulled it out. So the rest is history with that. I don't know if
I'm a psycho or what, but I was like, my immediate thought was like, "Fuck, I'm hiring this guy." I wasn't mad. I was like,
I knew
fuck,
she
bro.
had it in the tank, but I knew that was probably her absolute top end on the day.
This
She
guy kicks
handled
my
it.
teeth in every time. Something I fucking don't. I'll get with it. But it's fucking fun, man.
I've been
It's
around
awesome.
the block for a while, man. So
Yeah, it helps. It shows. But there's a lot of. But I say all that to say this. I've told you this before in person. But there's a lot of people that pay attention to you, and it's just so important. And I know you're going to that you continue to act the way you act and do the things that you do because there are a lot of people looking at you, a whole lot,
Absolutely.
and it's important to the sport. I want the sport to grow. Me and Nathan talk about it all the time about things we'd like to see from the sport and what we want to see from our clients and where we want the sport to go and stuff like that. And people are looking to people like you for those answers. So just keep that in mind when you move forward and
for sure.
kissing your ass. But I'm not ashamed of it because I feel like I'm a big fan of giving credit where credit is due. Life is short. If you feel like you need to say something, I feel like it needs to be said. So. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that look up to you, man, and that's a big fucking deal. And I'm here in a small town, fucking trying to do the same things. And I think honestly, given what I've gone through and stuff, and especially in terms of facility, what I have training wise, I don't have kilo plates. I've managed to buy myself good bars, stuff like that. Working with a little less, doing everything to do. I have a lot of reason to have quit by now. Personally as a power lifter and professionally, and you've kept me in it, so shout out to you, man. It's a big fucking thing. I know there's a lot of clients because I'm the worst client in the world to have, but I know there's a lot of my clients that would probably thank you personally too, because I know that there's clients of mine that are proud of what we do, and I know that they're happy that I'm still in it, and that's big shout out to you for that, for real.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Much appreciate it.
You want to wrap it up with dad jokes?
Yeah, let's do it.
You got any closing sentiments?
No, not really.
Not really.
I've just been enjoying listening the whole time. I'm just like hanging out, like, I don't have to say shit. I'm just chilling. Oh man, you got any?
I don't.
You never do.
I'm never prepared.
God,
It's
I
like
wish.
my fucking show too or something.
I'm just a tech guy, dude. I just set the shit up. Like I'm just here. Oh man.
Thanks for making a 2-hour drive to come up here and do this dumb shit.
Oh man, it's not a problem, dude. Not a problem.
All right. So, what kind of shoes do kidnappers wear?
I don't know, bro.
White Vans.
That's pretty good. I just about got stuck in the football news instead of that. I can't lie to you. I got a game on that I have not seen a single play of.
Wait, who are you a fan of?
I'm an Auburn fan.
He just walks out right now.
Oh, what are they playing? Is it Wisconsin?
Maryland. I think they're getting their ass drugged by like the 4th string quarterback right now.
Wait, Auburn's losing?
Well, let's just find out. I gotta know.
Oh man.
They were when I came in the podcast. Yeah, they're losing big, 31-7.
Ooh, fourth quarter.
A minute 30 left in the third.
Good God,
Getting drugged.
that's wild.
Drug.
That's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Y'all
It's
are
a-
banned from the state.
Man, right now I feel like
no
we
longer
should
claim
be.
y'all. No longer
I feel like we should be. That secondary is not helping either right now at all. Yeah. I mean, Georgia's doing their best to embarrass the SEC right now too. So
Are they losing?
no, but it's 0-0 with minutes left in the first. It's kind of surprising with nobody showing up for Florida State.
Is their second string quarterback playing?
I think so. Third, I think. Yeah.
Well, I thought so. The third string quarterback, well, the second string
One of them
quarterback was
got
supposed
hurt,
to be back from being hurt by this
maybe
game.
maybe it is the
supposedly.
second, but I know they had a lot of people drop out. Give us another dad joke. We're gonna hijack it.
Golf on a football team.
I'm just chilling again.
Hey
Just
man,
like-
this is Alabama during peak of college football season. You can't really not talk about it.
right?
So,
We live in that, to be honest with you.
I mean, I don't dislike football. I like watching it. I just don't actively watch it. Like, I just like, if a game's on, like, I'll watch it. I was sitting there watching the Raiders game on, when was that? This past Sunday when I was at.
Yeah, they managed to beat. Well, no, Christmas Day they managed to beat Kansas City.
Yeah. It was a good Christmas gift for the Raiders
I
fans.
say if you're a Raiders fan, I wouldn't want to watch football either.
Most of my family is Raiders fans.
Okay.
So,
I'm a
yes.
Pittsburgh fan.
I'm a Steelers
Like-
fan. God.
But at least we can bond over that.
Yeah.
What you got, dad joke was. You might as well just give us one more so we can talk about ball. And we done hijacked it.
Do you know what? A bossy man went into a bar and he orders everybody around.
There you go.
There you go.
You're a Cubs fan, right?
Yes.
So me and you are similar. Well, we've got a more recent World Series than you do, but
Wait,
I'm
who
a
are you a
Braves,
fan
I'm a
of?
Braves fan.
Okay.
But there's nothing more painful than being a Cubs or a Braves fan, is there?
They could no, because neither team has done anything
Like,
this offseason.
Listen, everybody gives me shit for being an Auburn fan, but like when you live life as a Braves fan, there's really nothing you can say sports wise to me that bothers me anymore.
The difference though is the Braves are always good.
Yeah,
Like not necessarily great, but you're always contending for at least a wild card spot.
there's times they're the best. There's a lot of times they're the best team in baseball until the playoffs and manage to lose.
That will be the Dodgers this year.
Infield error or
That would be as a Cubs fan.
right?
Our entire season was borderline ruined by a couple errors in back-to-back games.
There is nothing hard. Like there's nothing that can be said to me sports wise that's going to bother me about my team selection.
Yeah.
It does suck to be a Pittsburgh fan right now. Just because I have such, I always have such high expectations because Mike Tomlin is like, I think he's the greatest to ever do it.
I love Mike Tomlin. Unfortunately, I do feel like it's time for a shakeup.
Did you hear about the potential trade to Washington for him?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I got another one for you. So Russell Wilson obviously is no longer going to be on the Broncos. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the black and gold. Now, from a personality standpoint, I don't think he necessarily fits with what I would consider Steeler culture, but Pickett isn't ready. Rudolph isn't the answer. The answer was Josh Dobbs, and we got rid of Josh Dobbs.
He was. I've always
That's
thought
what
that,
pisses
yeah.
me off.
I'll be honest with you too, and you might not be a fan of this. I think two quarterbacks they should have gone after, and they didn't. They should have gone after Cam post Carolina for just a season or two.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been a better placeholder for Mike Tomlin, and sitting behind Ben than anybody else, in my opinion. And they should have gone after Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, knowing that those two have a good relationship.
Yeah.
But instead, he's a Jet and tore his Achilles in the first, series.
And he's supposed to be back this week?
Supposed to be.
I think that's a terrible idea.
They're already. There's no reason for him to play with them out of the playoff picture.
Oh no, aren't they still in the playoff picture?
They might be, but I mean, like
they'd have to win out and get help.
They have to win out, and I think they have to have help. But like the same situation we're in, I think we have to win out, and I think we got to have like a Ravens loss or.
We need Cleveland to if Cleveland loses out and we win out, because I think Cleveland's like 11-5.
You know what's dumb? You know what our record is in the division, don't you?
What is it?
Like 4-1 or 5-1. 4-1 because we got one more game left. But we're the worst team. Somehow we're at the bottom of the division, having.
But I thought Cincy was at the bottom.
Yeah, they are in the bottom, like by record, but still, I mean, third or fourth, what the fuck's it matter?
Yeah.
At that point, you know what I mean?
Well,
But,
I thought all four teams at one point were going to get in the playoffs from the division.
that's the way it looked. And I hate to say that because I've never been heckled harder by a fan base than I have by Ravens fans. That's another story we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I hate to say that I'm kind of rooting for the Ravens just because, like, who else is going to fucking carry the AFC North banner right now?
I'm a fan of the Ravens.
Although
I'm a Steelers fan, I do like what the Ravens have going on.
Well, I just think Harbaugh always puts together a quarterback. I mean, he's done it with Flacco now, and now he's done it with Lamar Jackson, and Lamar's good. It's hard to hate Lamar Jackson.
Exactly.
It's hard to hate it.
That dude is special.
He is very, very special. All right, we're gonna take. We've commandeered enough of time.
You're good. You're good. I'm just chilling.
Yeah, I mean that's the show, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Ronald Tarvin, hit him up for coaching. He's the best. And rate us 5 stars on Instagram. No, not on Instagram.
Rate us 5.
Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. All that stuff. Bye, y'all.